Hello there, Ash here from Jedha Workshop. A happy new year to you. First build video of the new year. Right, let's get to this. Mando Grunt Helmet that I made for my friend Alan the pilot's grandson. He's 6 years old for Christmas and all that. I had 2 weeks to make it. So this is every step of how I took it from this to this. Let's do this! First off, remove the supports. Boom, done. Next. Grab yourself some 40 grit sandpaper, sand this bloody thing all over. Grab yourself a soldering iron and melt the edges where support material's been, or the very tops where it's a bit more jaggedy, you know, do that, and the bottom. Boom, 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 boom. Next, grab yourself some 60 grit sandpaper, sand it all over, including the parts that you've just kind of melted. This does take some time. Obviously everything's speeded up here and I skip ahead because it's really boring, but it's quite meditative. Anyway, look at the top. There's nothing we can do about that with sanding, so we're going to use a different method. U-Pol Smooth 7. This is car body filler. This is what I call heavy duty filler. I don't use this over the whole helmet because it's quite hard to sand. It's two-part. Anyway, look, what's the perfect material to use as a scraper? The raft material at the bottom of your print. I always save it because it's just perfect for it. Right, ratio, if you're using the size of a golf ball, you want to use, for the hardener, you want to use the size of a pea. Mix that in good and proper. Working time for this is about 10 minutes, so you've got to go fast. Stick some gloves on, slop it on those high step areas, and all the jaggedy bits that you smoothed and sanded. It's just going to help you out. May as well use it, you know, while you're mixing it. But again, working time is about 10 minutes, so it starts to go rubbery. Once it goes rubbery, you've lost it. So just get it on there really quick, good and proper. Slop, slop, slop. Okay, wait for that to dry. It only takes about 30-40 minutes. You want to sand that with 60 grit sandpaper again. I mean, you can use 40 if you want. It's up to your discretion. But basically, it's quite hard. It's hard stuff to work with, which is why I don't use it over the entire helmet. I just use it for heavy duty gap fillingness. Know what I mean? Sand that, boom. Next, if you haven't watched my previous video, this is a brand new smoothing method I've been using, which is awesome. It's called U-Pol Reface. It's a 2K product. Basically, it's very similar to spray putty that you can buy in a rattle can, but the prices of those things vary from 5 quid to 10 quid. It's just not consistent. So I like it, it's really good. The ratio for this is 3%, so I've put 200 milliliters in there, so I'm putting 6 milliliters of the hardener, mix it up, and it's going through my air gun, so I'm going to put some paint thinners in there. I don't know why this footage is sideways, but you know, there you go, just turn your head. Mix it up good and proper. By the way, if you don't have an air gun and a big compressor and stuff, you can just literally paint this on with a brush, and it's such good stuff to smooth your prints. I highly, highly recommend it. If you want to just test it out, just buy some spray putty. You can get it on Amazon, as I say, for between 5 and 10 quid, depending how they feel on that day. Right, if you are using an air gun, then you want to spray all the areas first that you can't get to on the stand, and then the easier areas second. But get it all on there, get one nice layer on it, and leave it to dry for, you know, 10 minutes, and then you want to put another layer on everything, all over everything again. As you can tell, this video is unscripted, coming at you from Leeds, Yorkshire, UK, where we are under 10 inches of snow right now, and it's bloody freezing. Got my cup of tea here in front of me. Look at that, this is what it looks like when it's on. Right, onto the accessories. These are printed at a higher quality. I think I printed them at 0.2. But anyway, you want to sand them raw with 40 grit. Do the exact same gubbins with your soldering iron over the dodgy bits. That's just going to help you smooth things. I'm going to use a different method. I'm going to use 3D printer UV resin mixed or diluted down with a bit of isopropyl alcohol, and then we're just going to slap it on with a brush. The reason I dilute it is because it's really thick stuff and it tends to bubble up, and if you cure it while it's bubbled, it obviously just has hollow areas in the sort of crevices and stuff, and it's really annoying because you've got to redo it. So I just dilute it down and do thinner layers, and that seems to work. Anyway, cure it with a 405 NM UV light. Once they're all done, I do about 2 to 3 layers. clean all the gloopy stuff off with some isopropyl alcohol. The helmet is now dry. I left that overnight, I think. You don't want to leave it too long because it gets harder to sand. But you want to sand it all over again with 40 grit and 60 grit. As you can see, I love sanding. Absolutely love it. It defines me. Anyway, move down to from 40 to 60 and just do a quick blast with the 40 and the 60, just the high bits. Then you want to move on to 120 all over, and that's your sort of proper sanding layer. You want to get everywhere covered with the 120, and then you want to downgrade to 40 grit. Make sure you get all the little annoying bits. Then you want to downgrade to like 400 or 600 grit. You can do a wet and dry layer of this. Anyways, done, but look at that. Perfectly smooth. It only took about 17 hours. No, it didn't. Like 20 minutes per sand, really. Anyway, you want to primer this with some grey primer. I use High Coat products. I'm not paid by them or sponsored by them in any way, but I think they're really good for certain paints, especially just your bog standard kind of base layers. And lacquers are really good too. Again, spray all the bits that it's going to be hard for you to get to once you put it on a stand, because once it's on the stand you can't touch it, can you? So I do the bottom, the visor, you know, the uppy areas, the downy areas, stick it on the stand, and then I do all the surfaces that are facing towards me. La-di-da-di-da. Is this relaxing? Do you want me to talk over this bit? No, I'll just show. I'll just let you enjoy this 70s porn music. I mean, this is helmet porn, isn't it? Come on. Right, chrome lacquer. I'm not going to show that spraying bit again because, you know, it's annoying. There you go. That's what it looks like with... did I say chrome lacquer? I meant clear lacquer. That gives a nice shiny base layer for the next bit, which is the chrome spray paint. I use Montana Silver Chrome for this. Again, methodical sprayingness. Get it all over. I just do one layer of this and I let that dry. Just going to compare it. That is finished dry. That is a Mando with a completely different method where I use graphite rub. Now we can't use graphite rub as a base layer because anything you put on top of it, you know, any sort of solvent is just going to remove the shine. So that's why we can't use graphite rub as a base layer and why I use chrome silver spray paint. If you're rich, you can use, what's it called that they use on the show? Alumoluster, but you know, it costs about 500 quid a litre and I'm not rich, so that's why I use the cheaper alternative. Does a good job, it's good enough for this. Right, I'm going to do some accents on this, so I'm just finding the centre of the helmet and I've marked that with some tape, and then I'm going to stencil out equidistant either side of that line. Then we're going to use some latex rubber, liquid latex, and I'm just going to add some quite heavy detailed weathering on this. There's some parts... I was drying the helmet with the air gun and I actually started melting into it a bit, and I was like, oh god, I don't have time to re-smooth this bit, so I'm going to literally incorporate it into the helmet as damage. Someone call it cheating, I call it ingenuity. Anyway, just go around, less is more with weathering, but I wanted a lot on this. Again, be careful with your heat gun. I'm using some Montana 94 paints, whatever colour that was, blue, Europa blue. I'm not spraying the whole helmet, I'm just spraying over where I've liquid latex the chrome. Obviously that liquid latex is going to retain the chrome. Accessories, sand, 60, 120, all over. Take your time with this, they're quite detailed. Move down to 240, sand everything all over again. Again, it sounds like hard work, but it only takes 5 or 10 minutes when you're actually doing it, and it is quite enjoyable. I have to say, it's relaxing. Right, once they're nice and smooth, grey primer. Again, if you're not familiar with my videos, I basically say this in every video. I spray all the surfaces facing towards me, just turn them around and I do the top down spray last because that helps cover everything and reduce overspray. Right, once your paint's dry on your helmet, you want to peel off the liquid latex, which reveals that beautiful chrome. Then we want to get more liquid latex, go over the chrome areas again, but then just go that little bit further, capturing the blue surrounding it. That means when we do our final layer, we're going to have 2 layers, realistic paint chip layers beneath it. Right, I ran out of high coat clear lacquer for the accessories, so I'm just using this old stuff that I just found in my workshop. I have no idea where it came from. If it works, we're just going to try it. Okay, I'm using a loop paint, green, whatever that says. And this is our base coat for basically the whole helmet. Beautiful kind of apple green colour. My friend's grandson, his favourite colour is green. He said, I want a Mando, and I went, cool, but do you want your own Mando? And he was like, yeah. Right, and then I'm using a darker green just to go around some of the contours and edges, because that just really helps to define the contours of the helmet and give some more depth and curvature to it. Oh, maybe I just like mixing paints. Anyway, I got the idea to do a 2-tone on this because I was like, I want to do this different. This is based on the covert Mandalorian from the Tribe helmet, but that's a female-shaped helmet, and I didn't want to do a direct replica. And then my nephew got this cool BMX bike for Christmas, and it's got all this beautiful 2-tone colour, so I was like, I'll do that. I'm even going as far to use, this is a green, that said Verdi, but it's almost yellow, so it goes from blue to green to yellow to dark green. Right, once that's all done, before peeling the latex off, you want to matte lacquer everything, because if you peel the latex off and then matte lacquer, you're going to completely lose the shine of that chrome base layer. That's why I do it like this, and don't worry, you can still peel off the liquid latex. Okay, chrome base layer on the accessories. Let's peel off our masking, and I'm now going to mask for the very inner cheeks here. I'm going to do a completely different colour here, so I'm using pinstripe tape here, and this is the paper stuff, not the kind of vinyl-y stuff. The paper stuff is amazing, you can get it off Amazon, and you do that for your initial sort of sharp edge line, because you can curve the tape really easily. It's beautiful, and then just build it up with your bog standard masking tape for the other areas. Just surround that there. I'm going to add a little bit of weathering on this too. As I say, you don't have to go this far with the weathering. I just wanted to do a really heavy weathered helmet for some reason. I don't know why. Put his little shower cap on there. Right, I'm using a really dark green here. As you can see, I've labelled it. I normally use this on the Boba Fett re-armoured like base colour or main colour. Spray the cheeks there and matte lacquer once that's dry. The reason I'm matte lacquering now with all the tape on everything else is it's protecting that chrome, because as I say, the chrome looks shiny, but if you put any sort of lacquer on it, even clear gloss lacquer, it just completely just diminishes the shine. It just looks grey and crap. So I'm going to mask up the accessories. Basically, I'm masking the areas that I want to keep chrome. Add a little bit of weathering, so they don't look like brand new on a heavily weathered helmet. I'm going to use this beautiful turquoise here. This is technically a Jedha colour, but I use this on like Wax's motif. I've separated them all out, so these bottom ear sections are going to be the main apple green. The others I'm just going to do little accents. Right, time for some motifs and accents on the lower cheek areas. And look, there's a little bit of weathering there, and once I mask it, I'm not going to know where it is, so I'm just marking it with a pen. Obviously, once we paint it, you're not going to see that pen, but it's just going to help me identify where to continue that weathering onto the next colour of paint. So I'm just planning ahead. Right, I'm going to mark the cheeks On the Covert Mandalorian helmet, the female version, obviously it's a much more swooping shape, so these accents are kind of teardrop shaped, but this, you know, the male helmet is a bit more angular, so I'm just going with the natural shape of the helmet. And those areas that I've masked up are actually white on the bobblehead version of that character, but they're chrome on the Lego figure, and I love them both, but I went with chrome just because. Anyway, I'm going to use that nice turquoise colour on the cheeks. It does work really well with the white, but yeah, why not? I just wanted to see what it looked like. I could always paint it white afterwards, but I liked it. Anyway, let's peel all that off. Right, I'm going to use some high coat matte black just to paint in by hand these areas. I couldn't be bothered masking them for these tiny little bits. It takes so long to mask, and if you've got a steady hand you can just do it with a brush. Right, airbrush time, candy brown. This is for weathering. Now, you'll notice I haven't peeled the latex off because I didn't want any weathering covering the chrome. I've never done this before. I normally just peel it off and then weather it, but I wanted to just try this to see what happens, to see if I can really retain that shiny chrome base paint chip layer. So I'm going round with brown. I'm just going around all the contours of the helmet, all the edges, the immediate edges, nothing else at the moment. And then I've gone, oh shit, oh I'm not allowed to swear, am I? I forgot to do a black wash. Basically, for weathering you should do a black wash first, so that's just black acrylic paint, heavily diluted with water, brush it on in all the edges, grab yourself some paper towel and rub it off. Rub it off in random directions so that you don't get weird streaks. Again, all over the helmet. Hopefully I've not buggered up my brown airbrushing layer, but whatever, we can repeat it. This just helps to dull everything down and just give some nice realistic sort of fading and wear and tear. Right, I'm going to continue with the brown. I don't know why the footage is doing that or where that noise is from. Maybe I've got my phone literally sitting on the air compressor. But yeah, enjoy. It's quite again meditative. Don't forget to do your accessories, which I always do, so I'm doing them now. So while you've got paint in your airbrush, mate, you may as well use it. Right, I'm then switching to black, and I'm going to go over all the areas that I've just done with the brown. As you can see on the helmet, I did all the contours first, and then I went over where the liquid latex is damaged, and I did them brown as well, and I'll do the same with the black. Contours first. Get inside that deep set line above the visor, and then, as I just said, going over all the weathering. Right, peeling time. This is the most satisfying bit ever. And as I say, as long as you didn't do too much of a heavy coat of matte lacquer, you can still peel it off really easily. What I didn't anticipate is when you peel it off, because we retain that beautiful blue, it's much brighter than the rest of the helmet, because obviously it's been safe and protected for all this time. So yeah, boo-boo on my part. Don't do that, because I'm just going to have to go over everything again with the black just to darken that retained blue layer down, if that makes sense. Right, we're going to go a step further. You've probably seen this on other weathering videos that I've done. I'm going to use a little bit of isopropyl alcohol on a rag, and I'm going to drag the weathering, the airbrush weathering, back towards itself, towards each line, and just sort of smudge it into itself. and because we did that layer of matte lacquer, the base layer of paint, the beautiful blue and green, is all protected. However, you still want to be careful of this, because if you put too much ISO alcohol on, it will just dissolve that protective layer of matte lacquer and start, you know, messing with your paint job. I think it's just a really cool technique to add a bit more reality to your weathering. I'm just going to add some scratches with a bit of folded 120 sandpaper here, which gives the sort of negative scratches within the black weathering. Again, just adds an extra layer to your weathering technique. Right, I'm going to sand the areas where I'm going to glue the accessories, so that's the back and the ears. Dab of Gorilla Glue. It's not the amount of glue you put on, it's the amount of space you cover with it, so I do small dabs because that's just, you know, more strength. Stick that on, make sure everything's lined up, and carefully masking tape on because you don't want to damage any of your paint. I often just sort of tack the masking tape on my jeans first or on my jumper before sticking, so it's not fully stuck. Right, time to do the visor. I have several templates for this matter, but this one is for a helmet much bigger than this. Obviously this is for a child, so I'm just checking that that'll work, and then you know, I can always reduce it down. So these are replacement grinder shields. You can get these off Amazon. And I for the first one, because you can get a few visors usually out of one strip, I retained that aluminium strip at the top of the visor because it's bendable and it really helps shape the visor to fit the helmet. I'm using milliput to stick this visor within the helmet, so I'm just sanding the edges with a bit of 120 just to give a key on the inside, that is, to give a key for that milliput to stick to, and I keep the protective layer on until the last step because you don't want to scratch it. So milliput is a 2-part putty. It's the, you know, same consistency as plasticine, but once you rub it together it dries rock hard. I heat it up with a heat gun just because it's cold in my workshop and it just helps with the mixing process. Mix it till it's all one colour, and then make one big long wiggly worm and cut it in half, and then you want to cut at least 4 each side, so we've got 8 pieces to stick around each sort of main strength point of the visor. Once I've got that in, I then just do a massive splodge of super glue, and I grab a brush that I don't care about because it will be ruined after this, and I paint over the milliput. Done.
Everything's gonna be alright. Be strong.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. I just wanted to add a quick note to say thank you very much for all your support in 2024. It was a really challenging year for many people, certainly for me and Jedha. I mean, people just stopped buying helmets, you know, with the recession and the cost of living and everything, all the world events that were going on. It really affected my trade, and this is my, you know, main income. This is my job. So I lost my shop about halfway through 2024 because I just couldn't warrant, you know, renewing the subscription to my website. It cost too much money, and haven't had a shop since. I've survived the rest of the year just on private sales, which, as you can imagine, is pretty scary. That is still the case now. So if you do want any kits or any 3D files or any finished props, it is purely 100% through private messenger on Instagram or Facebook, or email, which is jedhaworkshop@gmail.com. All the info is in the description below. I am trying my hardest to try and get back on track. If you've got any ideas for that, stick them down below or chuck me a message. They say if you can survive 3 years in business, then you're good. And my third year was the hardest ever, without a doubt, just for so many reasons. But we're still going strong. I've got tons of new helmets coming. I've got the live action full clone Phase 2 armor coming. I've got loads of ideas for new designs that are non-Star Wars as well, which I really want to do. It's just, I feel very limited. I felt extremely restricted in 2024. But we're not in 24 now, we're in 25, and I don't want to feel restricted because I'm bursting with ideas. I just need cash to sort of get them up off the ground, and I really just want my shop back, to be honest. So yeah, if you'd like to order anything, do hit me up. If you've got any ideas to raise funds in a fun, cool way, if you've got any ideas for Jedha, if there's anything you want to see, just get in touch, chuck me a message or comment down below. I do read all the comments and I try to reply to all of them. And I hope we all have a amazing, wonderful, creative, easy, fun-filled 2025. Alright, I've been Ash from Jedha Workshop. Thank you again. Please like this video if you did enjoy it. Please subscribe if you haven't already and hit the bell and all the notifications so you get updated when new videos come out. And I will catch you on the flip side. Alright, namaste. This is the way. Peace.